which is what I did this time. So it wasn't scheduled until 2 hours later than now. So I have to throw something in here in order to be able to just start now. So you already hot on that one? Okay. That's good. All right, so. All right. Call Blog Talk host. Okay, you just set it down. Thank you. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you for your presence and your patience. Alhamdulillah, we are happy to be here. This is day 3, the last day of our first leg of the book tour. Alhamdulillah, thank Allah. Houston was also, I say again, where we first had the first Mariam conference, Muslim American Research Institute Advocating Marriage. And honestly, it just happened that way. It wasn't really like, yeah, we always got to go to Houston to start everything. No. It's kind of in the nature of the city. I mean, obviously my relationship with Qasim, my relationship with the Imam or Dr. Imam Wazir, all those things have to do with it. Alhamdulillah, and everybody likes to go where they're welcome, don't you? Right? I gotta stay away from the humor so much right now and get to the point because I gotta leave. But the point is, there's some cities you go to, you might need to throw your hat in first. You just put the hat on the stick and then just stick it out there and see if it gets shot. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty much got love everywhere, but you know what I'm saying? I'm not traveling with security yet, but I'm good. Alhamdulillah. Let's get on with it. Now, many times when there's a tour of any type, music tour or anything like that, usually there's a theme behind it. And as obvious as it seems for as far as the book is concerned, the kind of working title of the tour has been, just by default, Our Sacred Human Nature. And that is inside of the whole subject area. The whole subject area. It's about our sacred nature. Wouldn't it be intelligent for me to have a copy of the book in my hand? Let's see. I'll go ahead and find one. Another thing about Houston is like, I don't know who I played cheap. Either I played you cheap or I played me cheap or what have you. I didn't bring enough books. Sweet and sour, that's a good thing. But alhamdulillah, you can, this book is the book, The Reality of Our Sacred Human Nature, Our Origins and Our Destiny. So mashallah, inshallah, many of you have it. I spent time yesterday talking about the background, context, and other things and the like about the book. But to speak of the theme of the tour itself, I've kind of settled on education in reality. So if I had started out with that knowledge, then the underlying theme or the name of the tour would have been the Education in Reality Book Tour, something like that. Well, that's what it's going to become now. And you heard it here first in Houston. So I feel like I've done the background. We've talked about, we started out with the Jumu'ah, Education in Reality. So we did that, and we spent like the first hour of yesterday talking about where does the book come from? What is the what is the genesis of the book? Where did it come from? What is it based upon? And we talked about that. The khalaqa fasawwa qaddara hada. I think we spent the first hour in that. Then in the second hour of yesterday, there were 2 pages of notes that we sent out. I knew that we weren't going to actually get through those notes. Basically, knowing me, there's a tendency to elaborate at a certain point, and sometimes I get satisfied that, okay, well, they got the notes. And even if you don't get to cover the notes per se, the notes are pretty coherent. Just go ahead and go over the notes on your own. So I actually gave a homework assignment yesterday to tell you how many did it. All right. To read those notes, because that's the coherence, that's the idea that I wanted to cover yesterday. And it's there. You have it on paper. And inshallah, if you didn't get the notes from yesterday, I believe Elijah is working on getting those notes to you. We actually have two additional pages today, because there's a total of 4 pages. So we brought out 2 pages yesterday, even though we didn't cover it all, but it was there for you to grasp, and it is there for you to grasp. But then we have pages 3 and 4, which you will have in that the total of the pages that I intended to cover both for Saturday and Sunday. And actually, the first part of those notes, first part of page 1 and 2, essentially were the Jumu'ah notes. I mean, they were the very notes that I was reading from for the Jumu'ah for Friday. So you have the Jumu'ah notes for Friday, you have the notes for the Saturday presentation, and inshallah today I see people with notes in hand. Do you have pages 3 and 4 now? Okay, so you got, okay, good. Okay, so that's what you that's what you have. So we've covered that. So what I'm gonna do is, like yesterday when we began that second hour, we started with that paragraph, which is actually on page 2. Now, how many of you have a page 2? You have a page 2? Do you have the one where it says Adam's beginning is the beginning of a man of intellect? Do you have that in your notes? You might have got, so some of you may have gotten just today's notes. Elijah, if you can hear me, or anybody else on staff can hear me. We need some more of page 1 and 2. Just a few. How many don't have page 1 and 2? I mean, you didn't get it yesterday and you don't have it now. If you got it yesterday and you didn't bring it, that's on you, okay? But now, who never got 1 and 2? Okay, so we need at least 10 of 1 and 2. I'm going to go ahead because of the sake of time. MashaAllah, I have this. I'll call it, unfortunately, but I'll have to leave very shortly after we finish here. So I'm probably literally walking out the door after we finish. So to continue on that, and this is that first paragraph there was basically where we spent the hour, the paragraph that I'm speaking of, where it says, today we are addressing anyone who happens to have page 1 and 2. But I have to go ahead. So I'll start there and won't elaborate as much, of course, as I did yesterday. It says, today we are addressing the reconditioning that must take place in our thinking in order to facilitate education in reality. By education in reality, we mean as it is intended by Allah in Al-Islam. From the Islamic perspective, education in reality addresses all of these matters, and that's what we're coming to in the 5 that follow, addresses all of these matters and is successful by virtue of how it naturally and imperatively incorporates in its approach those critical essentials which have been taken out of the worldview and methodology of education in modern society. So explaining, essentially clarifying or amplifying that statement is how we spent most of our time, that second hour yesterday. So I'm not actually going to do it today. Presumably, Masjid al-Deen, I hope they do, have copies of yesterday's presentation that you can get, and you can get the information I'm not able to give right now. But the point is, the short version of what we're saying there is that there's a misperception of what education is, quote unquote education. There's a misperception in the West, in the modern mind, as to what education is. And it is not successful in the context of what real success is because of the very things that they have taken out of education, thinking that that's what makes it modern. Okay, and perhaps that is what makes it modern, which also the other assumption is that modern is quote unquote a good thing. And when you hear that word, man, we need the modern version of it. You know, it's sort of like, it's like, yeah, make it modern and it's good. Right? Well, not necessarily. There's a lot of stuff modern that is not good, right? One of them I'm saying is education. So modern education has taken out of education, and that word is in quotes, taken out of education what is necessary for there to be education in reality, right? And that's why is that, and that's why this conversation is important, certainly important to me, and I think if you hear what I'm saying, you see the importance of it as well, is that those kind of little fine points that people take for granted, overlooking, or that become basically just a part of the culture, a part of the intuitive way of thinking in the culture. I mean, most times if I say education, most people in society think they know what I said when I said education. From a cultural point of view, yeah, they know what I said because it means the same thing that, to them, it means the same thing that everybody means when they say education. So therefore, since we all agree on what education is, then I know what you're talking about. That's why the title, Education in Reality. You have education, but is that education in reality? Right? So that's the point. The point is to get that. Let me see. I forgot to flip my own switch. It's all good. So they'll catch it. And now we join the program in progress. So education from a modern perspective have extracted, just like when you talk about, whole wheat bread or something, right? And then what do? They take the something out of it. I don't know. There's my baker right there. What do they call it? They talk about enriched flour. And then what's the other? Bromated. You're getting too deep for me now, man. That's the first time I ever heard that word. What, bromated?
It's a salt process of cleansing.
It's a salt process of cleansing. Okay, so what about what takes out the stuff? The thing that makes wheat, for example, presuming that most bread is made from some kind of wheat, But then when you get that white flour, what am I getting? What am I actually...
They're taking it out of the wheat.
That's my point. So whatever that process is called, that's what they've done with education. They've taken out of education what really makes quote unquote education. Al-Islam puts it back because in Al-Islam it was never taken out. Do you understand? We can say Al-Islam puts it back, but no, Al-Islam is not putting it back because Al-Islam, education in reality, never took it out. You see? But now that brings up the point of Muslims and education. Because to the extent that Muslims have subscribed to the definition of and the prescription for education in the modern world, to that extent, Muslims have left their own education. Everybody understand that, right? So, but now education in reality from an Islamic point of view, it never took out the things that modern education took out. And so therefore, Al-Islam's education is education in reality. Everybody with me so far? All right. So let's keep going. Allah knows best, but broadly speaking, there are at least 5 primary misperceptions about education that are held in the broader cultural mind. Misperceptions that sometimes even influence the Muslims' pursuit of education personally and institutionally. They are, and I've already spoke about how much I appreciate, how much I value, how important credentialing and education in this society. That was yesterday. I covered all that. So, don't anybody with degrees of